Hello and welcome to Fernfield Fibers. My name is Ellis and I live here in Denmark together with my husband, our 3 children and our 2 dogs. This is the second episode of my YouTube channel called Fernfield Fibers. And today I would like to welcome you along on board with me on my fiber mission, where I would like to knit myself and my family a wardrobe with the yarn that originates here from Denmark and that is made from small yarn makers. But first, let me tell you about what has happened in our home since my last episode. When you are a family of 5, planning is everything. And it is very important to plan and schedule the days in the week or 2 weeks, so you have a slight chance to know who's going to do what time, who has a meeting, play dates, swim lessons, and so on. And I love to sit down in my chair and with a hot cup of coffee every Friday morning after I've driven the kids to school and institution and plan my next 2 weeks. And last Friday I did. But then, not this Sunday, but the Sunday before, my plans got totally screwed because my youngest boy, he's 18 months now, he fell and hit his head at the edge of the coffee table. So I need to drive him to the emergency room, and he got 2 stitches. And because he got 2 stitches, he wasn't allowed to go to the institution for a couple of days. But in the middle of the night, between Tuesday and Wednesday last week, he got a fever and an infection. So I had to go take him to the doctor the day after that. And he, of course, he told me that he had an infection and something on his chest as well. So he needed some penicillin, and that meant that he wasn't allowed to go to the daycare for a whole week. So it just means that all the plans that I have made was put aside, and that also means that I haven't got around to knit that much. Then I got around to buy Christmas presents and perhaps bake some Christmas cookies, and of course take care and play with my son. And we got to look a lot of children advent calendars together in the couch. But this is just a little reminder that even though that we knitters love to plan what we are going to knit now and what we will knit next time, life outside our knitting circle also happens, which means that we also need to put aside the knitting part for a bit, sadly, and then take care of what needs to be taken care of right now. So, without further ado, let's just continue this podcast. Today's program, I will tell you about what I am wearing, of course, what I've finished knitting on, what I am knitting on right now, and what I'm planning to knitting as well. If the episodes don't get too long, because I don't want these episodes to get far too long, because I know you also have other things to do than watching episodes. But let me start telling you about what I'm wearing. This is the Jenny jacket from PetiteKnit. I made this about 2 years ago, and I made it in off-white, in size medium, I think. This is not the original yarn from the pattern. I used 2 strands of Drops Flora and 1 strand of Drops Silk Mohair, because I really wanted to knit this, but I also wanted to make it a bit more affordable. It was a period where in time where I need to think about what do I have to use our money on. And the original pattern was quite expensive in the suggested yarn, so I found a yarn alternative, but nevertheless I'm so happy with it. I will put in some footage to show you how it looks on me and the outfit for today. I found these buttons from horns. What do you say in English? Horns from animals? And they're quite not. They don't blow up so much, and I like that quite a bit. And it was on purpose that I chose this off-white color because I wanted a fine jacket to wear when I'm going out to something, to see people, to the theater, to the movie perhaps, and to restaurants. And tonight I'm going to a restaurant with my sister-in-law, where we are going in Copenhagen, and I'm so excited. I haven't been in Copenhagen for so long time, and we will exchange Christmas presents. She lives at Bornholm, where all my family lives, and I can't wait to see her. So now is the day that I put on a fine dress, and of course also my Jenny jacket, because it's warm and it's snug. I can wear it with directly on my skin, and it is a pattern that is not very beginner friendly, but there are some very good tutorials on YouTube on this pattern exactly. So I can definitely recommend you to knit this. Oh, let me just have a sip of water. Let me just show you. This is a mug I found for, like, I think last year. It looks like a giant lettuce, and I absolutely adore the color. Uh, Not that I'm a big fan of lettuce, but at least I like the color. And did you know that a whole gin and tonic fits perfectly in this type of cup? Not that this is gin and tonic; it is strictly the normal water from the tap. But that was just a side note. Let me tell you what I have finished knitting. Perhaps you remember that I showed you that I was working on a December tight vest for my niece at Bornholm. It is finished and blocked. I will put in a picture to show you what it looked like before and after blocking, and I am so happy with the result. I tried it myself, and I have to admit that I'm quite tempted to knit one for myself as well, just in another kind of yarn. But the pattern and the way it sits on me, I am very fond of. I'm not able to show you what it looks like because I posted it already. Last Thursday, I posted it in the mail to Bornholm to my niece, along with some Christmas candy. And she got very overwhelmed and happy for the result. And on these pictures, you can see how she looks like wearing it, and I'm very glad that she's glad. It's not that very often that I knit to other family members unless they really ask me to. So when they do ask me, I normally often say yes. And well, when someone is knit worthy, I knit for them gladly, even though there's so many things on my own needles for myself and my own nearest family. But when someone particularly asks you to knit for them, then I cannot resist to do it. And that is the only finished object that I have. Yes, yes, that is. Because when my son was sick with the infection and with the stitches, I wasn't able to knit that much. But then at least I got to drink a whole lot of coffee and some GTs as well, and eat too much Christmas cake. So let me show you what I am knitting on. If you follow me on my Instagram, that is also called Fernfield Fibers, then maybe you have seen pictures of me posting this vanilla sock in man size, and this is for my father-in-law. Last year, I knitted a pair of vanilla socks in Christmas colors for my husband in secret, and I put it in one of his stockings, and he was actually very, very happy for it. And then my mother and father-in-law, his parents, joined us for Christmas last year, and then he said, "Oh, I also want one, a pair like that." And then he looked at me, and so I did understand the science very well. And the rope behind me is that next year I have to knit him a pair of socks as well. And this pair of socks do not come into my fiber mission because this is a superwash yarn, and this yarn is store bought in my local yarn store. I specifically chose this kind of yarn because I know it. It is a Danish brand called Hjertegarn. I have knitted in it before, and it holds very well, and it can go into the washing machine. And I believe that my father-in-law will appreciate that the socks can go into the washing machine and into the wool program. So therefore, I chose to knit with this regular sock yarn instead of some yarn that originates from a small yarn maker here from Denmark and so on and so on. And this is how the yarn looks like. It is a self-striping yarn, and when I knit it up, it looks like this. Oh, perhaps this, you should say. When I knit socks, I always knit both socks at the same time, because then I do not end on having this second sock syndrome where the other socks, well, it does knit itself, and when I have knitted a whole sock finished, then my need to knit the other sock doesn't, it's not that big. So I have decided for myself that when I'm going to knit socks, I always have to knit them at the same time. So this is one pair. This is one of the two socks, and this is the second of the socks. And as you can see, I'm about to knit the foot right now. I always knit on double pointed needles because I found that very easily and not too fiddly. This is Knit Pro's wooden regular, what can you say, cubic socks, sock needles, and I use the size 2.5 millimeters. It simply just lays very well in my hand, and when I'm knitting, it's like it lace in the here in my fingers, and I just relax when knitting them. And it almost feels like the socks are knitting themselves, and I can, watch television and drive in the car. Well, sit next to the chauffeur and take care of the kids as well, and so on. So I don't really think that much when I knit this with these knitting needles. I When I am knitting self-striping socks, and I do that 3 or 4 times a year, I think I always make a contrasting rib and heel, and perhaps also a toe, because when you are knitting the rib in this self-striping yarn, I think it looks too messy, and I don't like the way it looks. And also, when the same goes for the heel, that I knit with a bit of reinforcement. Where you knit one stitch, then you take one, lift one off, and then you knit the next stitch and take one stitch off. So doing that in this sock yarn, the self-striving sock yarn, it looks. I don't like the look of it. But this, on the contrary, looks much more neat and much nicer. They have to be done by Saturday, because my parents, my my husband's parents come on Saturday evening to be with our kids next Sunday, because my husband and I is going hunting with some very good friends of us. So we will be gone for the whole day, and so when my husband's parents are leaving on Sunday evening, they have to get all the presents for their side of the family, and then we get the presents for our side of the family. And so these socks needs to get done and blocked and wrapped for this coming Sunday. The next thing I'm working on, and that I still haven't finished, is my shawly scarf. As I showed you in the last episode, I knitted a shawly scarf, and it is called a shawly scarf because it's not a scarf, and it's not a shawl. Well, the scarf is finished and washed and blocked because the edges rolled. So I wanted to block it out in order to put on the picot edge that I so much badly wanted, also to fit my beret with the picot edge. And I'm actually quite happy with the result so far. I haven't got that far with the picot edge, and I thought that I would like to knit it on. But then I tried, and it was a bit fiddly, and I didn't like the result actually. So I went upstairs and found myself a crochet hook, and then I decided to crochet the picot edge. And I must admit, I am very happy for the result. So I think that after doing this edge, I need to steam the edge and block it in order to get the fibers in the wool to relax a bit and to blow up, so that it matches the scarf itself. Because I can definitely see a huge difference when knitting up with this, when crocheting with this not blocked yarn and this on this blocked item. But I promise that for my next episode, this is done, and then I can use it. Pretty, pretty, pretty. Mm.
The third and last thing I have on my needles is something I am very excited to show you. This is my third item in my fabric mission, and it is an item I have had in my mind for so long now. I had been longing for a sweater in light colors with a simple colorwork, and the inspiration for this is the light white colors, the beigey brown and the beigey blue, I think, is very typical in the wintertime when there is no snow outside. So I gathered a bunch of natural materials on one of my long walks with my dogs and put up a mood board. And then I took the next step on my fabric mission and began searching the internet for another small yarn maker. After some time, I found a lady called Landbokvinden. In English, it means a lady who lives in the countryside and of the countryside. Her name is Marie, and she keeps a breed called Vildnisgarn, and she also has a merino ram. It means that the yarn is very light and soft, and the sheeps are sheared once a year with an old pair of wool scissors, and the wool is spun at Hjelholt Uldspinderi. She has chosen this breed because it is very trustful and calm, and it doesn't need much, and the sheep can go free around in the stable with all year access to green areas. The yarn I fell for as the main color in my sweater is the yarn called Vildnisgarn in the beautiful white and beige color shades that comes from mixing the Finsk Finut and the merino. It is a 2-ply yarn and extremely soft and goes 400 meter per 100 gram. The two dominant colors I chose is both the 100% GOTS certified organic wool called Semilipura, and it goes 350 meter per 100 gram. One of them Marie has plant dyed with madder and fresh green walnut shells, and as she calls it Bauge. The name Bauge is from the giant in the Nordic mythology that helps the god Odin to get hold on the meat from Sutton. The other dominant color is the same wool, and she has plant dyed it with madder, walnut, and indigo, and she calls it Svea. I haven't got so far with my sweater because I'm also designing it myself using the measurements of an existing blouse in my wardrobe. But so far so good, and I have just started the colorwork. Up till now, I am very satisfied with the fabric it creates, and I like a good story behind this yarn from Lamborghini very much. I can only recommend you all to go out and check her website to see what beautiful other yarns she sells. As always, you can find all the details of the yarn and much more down in the show notes, as well as links to the different websites. As a part of my fabric mission, I would also like to make my own yarn from scratch. And until now, I've been washing and carding the wool from the sheep that belongs to my very good friend Lone. And I want to show you some footage from last time I went to visit Lone and her husband Henrik to clean and card some of the wool together with her. I hope you will enjoy it.
Hello and good morning. Today I'm going to visit my very good friends Lone and Henrik. Lone and Henrik plays a huge part in my fiber mission because they own the sheep from which I will make my own yarn. So today, on this frosty, snowy day, we will be sorting and washing some of the wool that was sheared of the sheep this spring. So it has laid in big bags for around 6 months, I think. But what a day to clean it in. The air is frosty and crisp, the snow is in the air. We will be drinking a lot of coffee, and I cannot wait to get my hands all greasy. See you later. Bye.
Aside from knitting and working, I also try to make a cozy everyday life for my family despite all the hectic situations. And I very much like to show you more from my everyday life, so perhaps you can get a better feeling of the roots in my fiber mission. If you like this episode, please do me a favor and hit the thumbs up button and click on subscribe if you want to get notified when a new episode arrives. I hope you have enjoyed this episode and also hope to see you again for my next episode in 2 weeks' time. But until then, I hope that you get time to enjoy your knitting and your everyday life. And of course, I wish you a very Merry Christmas. Bye.